Show with Julian on the brown note. Just a short thing. So, the Liberals have reshuffled their government as Scott Morrison has now reached the point where his desperation is so overwhelming. His staff are living in fear. His own staff have allegedly independently hired their own legal counsel and paid for it themselves, which is not something anyone in government ever does. They're indemnified for this stuff up the wahoo. But they just don't trust he won't start throwing them under the bus. I don't imagine why. It's not like Scott Morrison hasn't got so much loyalty towards people, but he's obviously... He's reaching this end game now where he will do anything to save himself, and he's already proven that he will. So he's gone for a little bit of a reshuffle. After defending Christian Porter against rape allegations for so long, he obviously doesn't have a lot of leeway to play with these powerful factional people in the Liberal Party. Of course, a woman got moved as well. So he's done his reshuffle. And I just thought it was ironic that this was a day that one of the senior Liberals came out and suggested the Liberal Party needs quotas. A set number of women working for the party. Didn't take long for that to blow up. Now, I just thought it was hysterically funny that the Liberals that have come out swinging, saying this isn't the Liberal way, for the most hilarious reason. It should be based on quality. The best person should be for the job. Does anyone think that's happened with the Liberal Party? We've got an Attorney General who's now been pushed out of his position because he's accused of rape and of being a lifelong misogynist, being replaced by Michaelia Cash as the top legal person in Australia, despite having no real legal experience or formal qualifications that pertain to the role of being the country's top legal expert. That would be enough. But she was investigated for a year by the Australian Federal Police and refused to give a statement for corrupt acts involving leaking information. This is the best people for the job? In what part of government do we have the best people? Is Scott Morrison the best person that we have to lead the country? Are any of the non-qualified people that get given these rosy gigs by the Liberals the best people? They are the living embodiment of not giving the best people the job. They give jobs to their friends, to big business, to whoever is on their side. But the reason I brought this up is quotas aren't going to save the Liberal Party from their woman problem. And neither is shuffling the deck and moving people around, but they have won numerous elections, both at state and federal level, by doing the same thing over and over, and the public is stupid enough to fall for it every term. They have a leader who comes in, who's really horribly bad. They sacked them just out from an election, and they brought Mike Baird in, he won an election. They brought Gladys in, she won an election. She could easily be gone before the next one. They had Tony Abbott, they sacked him before the next election, brought in Turnbull, he won. They sacked him before the next election, brought in Morrison, he won. How stupid are all of the people that keep falling for this tactic? But anyway, the reason I brought it up is quotas and shuffling the deck are not going to save the Liberal Party from their woman problem. They need to acknowledge that they have a woman problem. They aren't. Can you imagine going to work and behaving like a Liberal in any corporate environment, any office, anywhere, in any job, in a shop job, and behaving like they do? Behaving like you've been accused of multiple crimes, going on the radio and saying appalling things about women or races, bringing your whole company into disrepute all of the time and keeping your job year after year. They never sack anyone. Everyone ends up getting a nice cushy job even if they are moved out of government. Can you imagine being in any work environment and behaving like a Liberal MP does? Even at state levels, it's virtually impossible for them to get sacked until the police drag them away in chains. They need to acknowledge that they've got this problem and they need to take action against the people. Can you imagine going to your employer and saying, well, I'm going to go on full pay I've done lots of Andrew Lamming offensive things to women, including taking an upskirt photo, and I'm quite notorious for my appalling behaviour to women. So I'm going to go on full pay, and I'm going to go for empathy training. I'm on several $100,000 a year, and I'm the best person for the job because I don't even understand human empathy. In what job would that be okay? I've been really offensive to women all these years because I lack empathy, and I should definitely receive a course for this. If you've got to 45, 50 years old in your life and you don't have empathy, you've got seriously psychotic problems, mate. These people are entitled. That's why they don't have empathy. These people care about their gang. When they say they're a Christian, they don't mean they're a Christian, they mean their gang. White Anglo-Saxon. That's it. They look after their gang, the wealthy. They don't have empathy for anyone else because it's a fault in their character, because they're immoral people. And you're not going to fix a problem by moving staff around, sending them on a course to learn something a 10-year-old would know unless they were a sociopath, and rewarding them over and over with the most appalling behaviour that would never fly in. They make all this fuss about the private sector being so good. None of their behaviour would fly in the private sector. Can you imagine how many people in the Morrison government and in the state Liberal government would have got the sack in the private sector? Well, Scott Morrison, he did. He got the sack in the private sector. So, I mean, they're until they come to terms with the fact the problem is them, they won't even acknowledge that they have a problem. They think if they read a pamphlet, it will go away. It's never going to go away. They're going to continue having this really anti-feminist, anti-woman view that is a cultural, systemic part of the Liberal Party. And there is no amount of moving people or training them for things as basic as empathy